Something I thought about today when it comes to waiting on God, right? Like God told you he was going to do something, he spoke something to you, and you're waiting for it to come to pass, right? What if God is wanting you to let that die? Right, so that he can resurrect it? Because the Lord is the resurrection, right? That's what he told us in John chapter 11 when it came to Lazarus. He was telling Martha and Mary, I am the resurrection, right? And the thing is, when Lazarus died, right, it was 4 days later before Jesus came to resurrect him. And he waited that long because the Jewish history or custom, whatever, when somebody passes away, that they believed that within 3 days that person could, their soul could be resurrected, okay? But after 3 days, if nothing happened, then that was it. They were dead for real, okay? So Jesus intentionally waited 4 days to show that he is the resurrection. It doesn't matter how long a person has been dead. When Jesus says, come forth, when Jesus breathes life into you, right? That's it. You're up, you're awake. He'll wait until it looks like it's done. And nothing can happen from this. It's dead, it's over. And then he breathes life into it. And next thing you know, it's here, right? It's alive, it's well, so on and so forth. But a lot of people, I feel like when they're waiting on God for something, they're unknowingly trying to keep it alive, right? They're unknowingly exerting all their energy, performing all types of spiritual CPR, what have you, to keep this promise alive when it's like they're striving to make it come to pass. And we can't do that. We can't. The promise is already yours. Whatever it is that God has spoken to you, it's already been written. It's already been done. It's already yours. So you don't have to strive for it. But some people unknowingly do it. And God's like, look, bro, let it die because I am the resurrection. Amen. And that's why, y'all, I talk so much on having like full-blown confidence and standing firm in your faith of what God has told you, because he's not a man that he should lie. His word never returns back void, right? But sometimes we can like literally be choking the life out of this promise, right? Or choking the life out of ourselves, essentially, by exerting all this energy, wearing ourselves out, trying to keep this promise alive, thinking that if we're not playing our part, it's not going to come to pass. Baby, it was, like I said, it's already been written. Once God spoke it to you, it shall come to pass. Anyways, y'all, I'm gonna go ahead and read this devotional for today, okay? It's titled The Joy of Encouragement for October 1st. Amen. Each and every day I give you blessings. I want you to be a blessing and share my grace with those whom I place in your life. It may be a brief encounter, okay? It might be a relative that has been lost for some time and not receptive to the gospel, okay? I want you to be ready to put yourself and your priorities aside and be the servant I've called you to be through my grace and mercy. I know it's not always easy to set yourself and your priorities aside, okay? But it's necessary, right? If you want to live a life of faith, the more you give of yourself being emptied in every way, the more I can feel you. The more you encourage others in their faith, the stronger your faith will be. It's not easy to be strong in faith at all times, especially when you're facing difficulties and challenges. But if you will encourage each other, right, you'll be stronger. Work diligently at lifting others up, assuring them of my power and provision, and I will make sure that all your needs are met. Amen. Trusting fully in me means believing that as you focus on others, I'll focus on you and all your concerns. And the verse is Acts chapter 11, verse 23. When he arrived and saw what the grace of God had done, he was glad and encouraged them all to remain true to the Lord with all their heart. It's so beyond freeing, y'all, to give it back to God, to surrender it to God, to let it die and wait for it to come to pass. And I know the waiting is very hard. I know it is, but there's something freeing about not having to worry about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is why I be telling people, like, Lord, you told me XYZ, so XYZ will happen. Until then, when it happens, but you told me it would, so I expect it to happen. This is why people say God is a God of suddenly, because he is. And I was telling one of my sisters in Christ this morning, God is a God of suddenly, right? We just don't know when that is. But you go through each day, day by day by day, and then all of a sudden, things change. All of a sudden, what you thought was dead, it was brought back to life, right? All of a sudden, your promises come to pass. So don't think just because it's been X amount of time, like, oh, well, it's been this long and blah, 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 that means it's probably not going to happen. Maybe I heard God wrong. Y'all sound like Martha, right? When Jesus went to go to the tomb to raise Lazarus, what did she tell Jesus? Don't even worry about it, Lord. You know, like, it's stinking there. Like, she was basically saying, like, it's too far gone. There's nothing you can do. Ha! Jesus said, Lazarus, come forth. And you're constantly, like, kind of consuming yourself of when it's going to happen, how it's going to happen, where it's going to happen, or so on and so forth, right? It is so easy for Satan to mess with you. It is so easy for you to have hope deferred when it comes to things, right? Because you'll start receiving everything as, oh, it is happening because you want it to happen so bad. And I get it. You know what I'm saying? Because these are promises from God. But it's so easy for Satan to come in and mess with you about it. Because when you think it's going to happen and then the days turn into weeks and the weeks turn into months and you don't see nothing happening, guess what happens? You get discouraged, right? You start to lose faith in what God has told you. That's what I'm telling y'all. Lord, you said it was to be, so it shall be. And until then, I'm just going to live life. I'm just going to live life, Lord. I'm going to live life the way you want me to live it. I'm going to step into my purpose and calling and walk this path that you have ordained for me. And whenever it's time for me to receive what it is that you have for me, then I will welcome it with open arms. But until then, I'm just walking life, Lord.